We all feel it, that deep human ache for recognition. We strive, we build, we create, hoping that one day the world will turn and say, "We see you. You've made it." We believe their applause is the finish line. But an ancient path of wisdom suggests a more profound, more stable truth. It whispers that the greatest victory isn't winning over the crowd, but winning over yourself. This is a journey inward. Lesson 1. External validation is impermanent. Think of the approval you seek as a sandcastle built at the water's edge. You pour your energy into its creation. You meticulously shape every tower and wall. When people walk by and admire it, a wave of warmth and pride washes over you. This is the validation you craved. It feels solid. It feels real. But the tide of opinion is always in motion. The same crowd that praised your castle today might be captivated by another one tomorrow. Or a critic might come along and point out a flaw, and suddenly your perfect creation feels worthless. Eventually, the tide inevitably comes in. It wasn't a malicious act. It was just the nature of the ocean. It washes the sandcastle away, leaving the shore smooth and empty. If your sense of self, your happiness, was built into that castle, you are now left with nothing. You feel devastated, erased. The spiritual journey teaches us to stop building our home on these shifting sands. Instead, we learn to find our foundation on the bedrock, far from the water's edge. The bedrock is our own understanding of our effort and our intention. The practice is not to stop building, but to change why we build. We build for the joy of creating, for the focus it requires, for the expression of our inner selves. When praise comes, we can appreciate it like a sunny day, but we don't mistake it for the sun itself. When it fades, we are not plunged into darkness. We remain stable, secure on our own ground, ready to create again, not for the fleeting admiration of others, but for the enduring satisfaction of the work itself. This way, you are no longer a victim of the tide. You become as steady as the shore, watching the waves of praise and indifference come and go, while you remain whole. Lesson 2. True winning is internal liberation. Our society hands us a clear definition of winning. It is the trophy, the promotion, the corner office, the higher salary. It is a destination we must reach, a prize we must acquire. We race towards these outer goals, believing that once we grasp them, we will finally feel victorious and complete. Yet, a deeper wisdom reveals that this is a grand illusion. The most profound victory is not about conquering the world outside, but about liberating the world inside. Imagine being trapped in a room. The external world can offer you fame and fortune, sliding treasures under the door, but you are still trapped. True winning, true liberation, is realizing that the door was never locked. The bars on the window are made of your own anger, your own jealousy, your own fear. The real victory is the moment you decide to walk out of that room. This is a quiet triumph, one that no one else needs to applaud. It is the victory over your own reactive mind. When someone criticizes you, the old you might have been imprisoned by rage or shame for days. The liberated you sees the comment, feels the initial sting, and then lets it go, like releasing a stone from your hand. You have won your freedom from that painful reaction. When you see someone else succeed, the old you might have been caged by envy. The liberated you finds genuine joy in their success, because their win doesn't diminish you. You have won your freedom from comparison. This is the ultimate form of winning. It isn't a single event, but a continuous process of unchaining yourself from your own inner turmoil. The world can offer you crowns made of gold, but they are heavy and can be taken away. Internal liberation is a crown of light that you bestow upon yourself, and its weight is nothing but peace. Lesson 3. Attach to effort, not outcome. We are taught to link our actions directly to their results. We work hard to get the grade. We practice to win the game. We are nice to be liked. The outcome becomes the sole reason for the effort, and this creates a constant state of anxiety. If the outcome is all that matters, then the process becomes a stressful, uncertain path to a future reward. We are constantly asking, will I succeed? What if I fail? Is this even worth it? Our minds are not in the present moment. They are lost in the future, gambling on a result we cannot fully control. A wise path offers a radical shift in perspective. Fall in love with the effort itself. Find the meaning and reward in the doing, not in the what is done. Be like a dedicated gardener. The gardener finds profound satisfaction in the act of gardening. They love the feeling of turning the soil, the focus required to plant the seeds, the mindful act of watering the tender sprouts. They pour their care and attention into the process. The gardener cannot control the weather. They cannot command the sun to shine or the rain to fall. They cannot guarantee that every seed will blossom. If they were attached only to a perfect, prize-winning harvest, every cloudy day would bring despair, every pest a crisis. But because their joy is in the gardening, they remain at peace. They show up every day and give their best effort, finding fulfillment in the work itself. This is the practice for life. Whether you are writing a report, learning an instrument, or building a relationship, pour your entire being into the effort. Be present with each keystroke, each note, each conversation. Detach from the applause, the promotion, or the reciprocity. Your reward is the person you become through the dedicated, mindful effort. The effort is the one thing you can completely control. The outcome is a visitor that may or may not arrive. Love the work, and you will have already won before the results ever come in. Lesson 4. Suffering arises from conditional acceptance. Much of our quiet suffering comes from a single flawed belief. I will be worthy when. I will be worthy when I lose the weight. I will be worthy when I get the job. I will be worthy when they finally love me back. We place our self-acceptance on the other side of a condition. We treat our own worth like a prize to be earned, a reward for good behavior or successful performance. This creates a painful and endless cycle. When we fail to meet the condition, we punish ourselves with shame and criticism. When we do succeed, the relief is temporary because the mind quickly creates a new condition, a new hoop to jump through. Okay, I got the job, but now I'll be worthy when I get a promotion. We live in a state of perpetual self-negotiation, and our inner peace is always held hostage, waiting for a future event. An enlightened perspective teaches us to dissolve this contract. It asks us to practice unconditional self-acceptance. This is not about complacency or abandoning goals. It is about changing the foundation from which we operate. Instead of striving for a goal in order to feel worthy, we start from a place of inherent worth and strive from there. Imagine a child who is only shown love when they bring home a perfect report card. That child lives in constant fear. Now imagine a child who is loved unconditionally. That child, feeling safe and accepted, is free to explore, to learn, and to achieve without the crippling fear of losing their parents' love. We must learn to become that loving parent to ourselves. The practice is to notice the conditional thoughts. When the voice in your head says, "You are a failure," you gently respond, "I am having the thought that I am a failure, but I am worthy of kindness even when I struggle." You decouple your actions from your worth. Your worth is the ground you stand on. Your actions are the steps you take. The ground is always there, supporting you, whether you are running, walking, or stumbling. Lesson 5. Cultivate equanimity amidst praise and blame. Life is a constant flow of feedback. Some days you receive praise, compliments, and recognition. These are the sunny, warm days, and we naturally want to bask in them forever. On other days, you receive blame, criticism, or are simply ignored. These are the cold, stormy days, and we naturally want to run from them and seek shelter. Our mistake is that we allow our inner state to be completely dictated by this external weather. We ride a roller coaster of emotions, soaring high on praise and crashing low on blame. We become emotionally fragile, dependent on others for our sense of well-being. The path to inner strength is the cultivation of equanimity. Think of your mind as the deep ocean. On the surface, the weather creates all kinds of conditions. There are giant waves of praise that crash thunderously. There are fierce storms of blame that churn the water. But if you dive deep beneath the surface, you find a place of profound stillness. The chaos of the surface cannot touch the silent, calm depths. Equanimity is learning to reside in those depths of your own mind. It is not about becoming numb or indifferent. You still see the waves on the surface. You acknowledge the praise, and you acknowledge the blame. You feel the warmth of a compliment and the sting of an insult. But you don't cling to one or push away the other. You don't let them define your entire being. You observe them as temporary weather patterns passing through your awareness. The practice begins with small observations. When someone praises you, notice the pleasant feeling, but also notice how it fades. When someone criticizes you, notice the unpleasant feeling, but also watch as it too eventually loses its power if you don't feed it with more thought. By doing this, you build an inner anchor. You are no longer a small boat tossed about by every wave. You are the deep, uncheckable ocean, witnessing the surface change while remaining grounded in a vast, quiet peace. Lesson 6. Your inherent worth is not conditional. We live in a world that constantly measures and ranks us. We are given scores, titles, and labels that are meant to define our value. From a young age, we are taught to build our identity based on these external markers. Our grades, our job title, our income, our social status. We come to believe that our worth is something we must earn, prove, and defend. If these markers are high, we feel valuable. If they are low, or if we lose them, we feel worthless. This is the source of immense anxiety, because anything that can be given to you can also be taken away. A deeper spiritual understanding invites us to discover a revolutionary truth. Your inherent worth is unconditional. It is not based on what you do, what you have, or what other people think of you. It simply is. Think of the sun. The sun shines. It does not need the approval of the clouds to validate its brightness. It does not stop shining on days when it is obscured from view. Its nature is to radiate light and warmth, regardless of who sees it or appreciates it. Your core essence, your fundamental being, is like that sun. It is a source of awareness and potential that exists prior to any achievements or failures. Your job, your bank account, your successes, and your mistakes are like the clouds. They are temporary, passing phenomena that can sometimes obscure the sun, but they can never extinguish it. The practice is to connect with this inner sun. It involves moments of quiet reflection where you sit and simply feel the fact of your own existence, the feeling of being alive, the rhythm of your breath. In these moments, you are not a manager, a student, or a failure. You are simply a conscious being. By repeatedly returning to this fundamental awareness, you begin to untangle your identity from the fleeting clouds of circumstance. You realize that you don't have to win anything to be worthy of love and respect, especially from yourself. Your worth was never in question. It has been shining all along. Lesson 7. Practice mindful perseverance regardless of recognition. The path to any meaningful accomplishment is long and often lonely. In the beginning, there is usually a burst of excitement, but then comes the long middle. This is the part of the journey with no crowds, no applause, and no guarantee of success. It is the daily grind, the quiet hours of practice, the slow, incremental progress. This is where most people give up. They lose motivation because the external validation they crave is nowhere to be found. They think nobody cares, so why should I continue? The secret to traversing this long middle is mindful perseverance. This is not the same as gritting your teeth and forcing your way through with sheer willpower. That kind of effort leads to burnout. Mindful perseverance is about infusing your effort with presence and gentle determination. Imagine you are walking on a long pilgrimage path that stretches for hundreds of miles. If you constantly fixate on the final destination, the journey will feel overwhelming and joyless. Each step will feel like a chore. The mindful pilgrim, however, focuses on the step they are taking right now. They feel the ground beneath their feet. They notice the rhythm of their breathing. They observe the scenery around them. They are fully present with the act of walking. They are not obsessed with the destination. They are engaged with the journey. Their perseverance comes not from a desperate need to arrive, but from a peaceful commitment to the path itself. This is how you should approach your goals. When you sit down to work, don't be discouraged by the mountain of work that remains. Just focus on this one task, this one paragraph, this one phone call. Do it with your full attention. When you finish, take a moment to acknowledge the effort. Then, focus on the next step. By breaking the journey down into a series of present moments, you eliminate the anxiety about the future. You persevere not because you are seeking a reward, but because the act of moving forward, mindfully and deliberately, becomes its own reward. The recognition may or may not come, but your inner strength and focus will grow with every single step you take. Lesson 8. Success and failure are both fleeting illusions. We build our lives around two powerful ideas, success and failure. We desperately chase one and frantically run from the other. We believe that success is a permanent state of happiness and that failure is a permanent mark of shame. We invest them with immense power, allowing them to define our past and dictate our future. We tell stories about ourselves based on these labels. I am a successful entrepreneur, or I am a failed artist. A profound spiritual insight reveals that both success and failure are illusions. They are not solid, permanent realities. They are temporary judgments we place on a set of circumstances. They are like dream events. In a dream, you might win a great treasure. The joy and excitement feel completely real. In another dream, you might be chased by a monster. The terror feels just as real. But when you awaken, you realize that both experiences were fleeting appearances in the mind. Neither the treasure nor the monster was solid. They were both part of the same transient dream. Life's successes and failures are much the same. The success of a promotion is real for a time, but then it becomes the new normal, and new challenges arise. The failure of a failed business feels devastating, but from it, you learn lessons that lead to a future success you couldn't have imagined. What you label a success today might lead to an unforeseen problem tomorrow. What you label a failure today might be the very event that sets you on a better path. The practice is to hold both success and failure more lightly. When you experience a success, enjoy it. Be grateful. But don't cling to it or let it inflate your ego. Recognize it as a pleasant, passing weather pattern. When you experience a failure, allow yourself to feel the disappointment. Learn from it. But don't let it define you or solidify into a story of shame. See it too as a storm that will eventually pass. By seeing both as fleeting illusions, you are freed from their tyranny. You can then navigate life with more grace and wisdom, knowing that your true self is the dreamer, not the dream. Lesson 9. Find peace in the present moment's journey. So much of our energy is spent living in two places that do not exist, the past and the future. We replay past wins and losses, dissecting every detail. We feel regret for our mistakes or nostalgia for our triumphs. Or we project ourselves into the future, creating elaborate fantasies of success or terrifying scenarios of failure. We are so busy worrying about the finish line or looking back at the starting line that we completely miss the race itself. Our lives unfold in a continuous string of present moments, but we are rarely there to experience them. We are like a passenger on a train, who spends the entire journey studying the map, never once looking out the window at the beautiful scenery passing by. The most direct path to peace is to come home to the present moment. This is where your life is actually happening. Peace is not a destination you arrive at once you have won. It is a quality of attention you can cultivate right now in the midst of your journey. It is available to you whether you are succeeding or struggling. The practice is simple, though not always easy. It is about bringing your attention back again and again to the here and now. You can do this through your senses. Right now, what are 3 things you can see? What sounds can you hear? What does the chair feel like beneath you? You can also anchor yourself with your breath. Simply feel the sensation of the air entering your body and leaving your body. When your mind wanders to yesterday as argument or tomorrow as deadline, which it will gently and without judgment, guide it back to the feeling of your breath. Each time you do this, you are strengthening your presence muscle. You are not trying to stop thinking. You are simply choosing not to be lost in your thoughts. By finding refuge in the present, you discover that you don't need to win to be at peace. The journey itself, when experienced fully, is the reward. The beautiful scenery is right outside your window, waiting for you to notice. Lesson 10. The only true judge is your own awakened mind. From the moment we are born, we are judged. We are judged by our parents, our teachers, our peers, our bosses, and ultimately by society at large. We internalize this dynamic and become our own harshest critic, relentlessly judging our every thought and action. We look outward for a final verdict on our worth, hoping that if enough people approve, we can finally feel good about ourselves. We hand over the gavel to the world, making ourselves a defendant in a courtroom where the jury is fickle and the rules are always changing. The ultimate teaching of the inner journey is to reclaim that gavel. It is to understand that the only judgment that holds any real, lasting significance is the one that comes from your own clear, compassionate, and awakened mind. Think of your mind as a mirror. A normal, untrained mind is like a mirror covered in dust, dirt, and distortions. It is clouded by ego, fear, envy, and preconceived notions. When it looks at your actions, it reflects back a warped and unfair image. It magnifies flaws and overlooks sincerity. This is the harsh inner critic. The goal of spiritual practice is not to find a better external judge, but to clean the mirror of your own mind. Through practices like mindfulness, self-compassion, and seeing things as they are, you begin to wipe away the dust. Slowly, the mirror becomes clearer and more accurate. An awakened mind is a perfectly clean mirror. It reflects reality without distortion. It sees your successes without arrogance. It sees your failures without shame. It sees your effort, your intentions, and your struggles with perfect clarity and boundless compassion. This is the only judge that truly knows you. It is not swayed by public opinion or external results. It judges you based on the integrity of your effort and the kindness in your heart. Cultivating this clear mind is the greatest win of all. When your own mind is your compassionate witness, the applause of the world becomes a pleasant but unnecessary sound, and its silence is no longer a threat. You are finally free,